Alright, just a little side note before I start going through all of this code. I must say that it is unfinished for the majority, and there's a lot of things that are unused, like functions that would have been used in a larger system. So I'll explain the client side first. So on each side there's a something called an engine. I call it an engine. It's not really an engine. It's more of just a framework. There's one for the client, one for the server. The client one's very limited. It basically just loads the utility and class and all the modules, so that all of these can use the different modules inside of their environment easier than they normally would. They don't have to require it. All they have to do is index it. You know, that's the engine, and then this one doesn't use it, but this one might. Uh, Basically do engine dot and then the module you want to use. It's been useful. So, anyways, I'll go through the input. So it's very simple. This was like a 2 minute work, just putting it together, just connecting the client's input and sending it to the server, so that I can track when they put the first mouse button down and the second mouse button down. Pardon me. It's for tools because I made a custom tool system instead of using the default Roblox tool. That was mainly just to see if I could do it. It wasn't the hardest thing. Yeah, that was just mainly to see if it was possible, and it also allowed me to do a lot of things easier. Like it supports dual wielding or either hand wielding, which is a good thing. Anyways, weapon client. This basically handles the animations and effects. Right now, there's no effects, so it basically just handles the animations. So you can see all this, and it basically just runs the animation, and it runs a an attack basically, and there's different attacks. So like you can have as many attacks as you want, so it's basically it'll do the first attack animation. Then if you click again within I think 5 seconds, it'll do the second attack animation, and if you click again in the third, if there is a third, or it'll just go back to the first. The block and equip supports that for each hand. So this is a sword. This is like a basic class, kind of, and then there'll be one for like staff, and then there'll be one for like if special swords have special animations, then it'll just rename it like special sword, and obviously supports all of these animations on either hand. I was thinking of doing a like when if I did end up finishing the system, I probably would have used what's it called, animating without animating basically. Like kind of what the Roblox sword tool does, the default one, where you don't need an animation track to run it. I forgot the name of it now. Um, but it's basically just using C frames for animations. I was thinking of doing that instead of having to have the animation tracks, but I didn't get a chance to even try it because I had to shut the project down due to funding. Anyways, next is dialogue. This is a very simple one. I was just testing the scroll speak thing. So it's a function to slowly say this text on this label, and this is the time it'll take to say that text. And then this is just the function to actually speak it, and it'll do all that, and then that. And there's this run, which is just a script that runs the client's init function, which will load all the modules. Alright, that's the client side. I think that's everything. I don't think I put anything in the player. No, I didn't put anything in star player. Okay. Next is the replicated storage, right? So game data splits up into two. There's NPCs, and then this is basically the NPC. This is what I was going to use for a kind of I think the word's robust NPC system. So I wanted you to interact with the NPCs, and what you say will affect them for everyone else. So if you make them angry, they'll be angry until someone doesn't make them angry, like until someone makes them happy, I guess. Something like that, just to make it more kind of realistic. So you can see it's just got simple values for if it's angry, if it's happy, and all that stuff. The module I am using, I have no clue what module I'm using actually for this. It'll be here somewhere. I think it was actually part of a larger module that I was making that I didn't end up finishing. Yeah, it was. So the idea of the module was I'd be able to add an option, and that'd be a button, and can you interact with it, and basically a button on the side of what the NPC is saying. Uh, Obviously, again, didn't get a chance to finish this. I started this just as the project was shutting down. Okay. Next is the item section. This has the models for all the items in the game. Models for the clothing, for the equipment, and for the and for the weapons, and different types of weapons. Excalibur and Fin Sword and the Test Sword. Those are the three that are actually in the game right now. The rest of them are just models. I haven't set them up in the game. And then the modules for them, which these three are basically clones besides the tool name. This is all of this stuff isn't the only thing here that's used is tool type, and that's to check which type of server config you're using for the sword. All of this stuff was going to be mainly for the inventory. I'll go through what it all means. So I was going to have a system where if it is it two-handed and all that stuff. So like you can only like both your hands are held on it basically at the same time. You can't dual wield with it. The tool name, tool tip, and stuff just like the normal inventory, but then like sell prices, all the different damage values and stuff, animations for them, and if it's I was gonna do a limited system. So like if there's only a certain number of items in the game, like if I release 100 of one type of sword, then it'll be limited, meaning it goes up in value. Tradable means can you trade the item to someone else. Bound is if you can drop it or not. So if it's bound, you're not allowed to drop the weapon. And bound also automatically means that tradable is off too. So if it's bound, you can't trade it and you can't drop it. Tradable, you can drop it. You just can't use the traditional trading system with it. And then they can sell. That's if you can sell it to a merchant. Anyways, next is the server. Oh no, next is these modules. This is the module I was talking about that I didn't make. This is the camera module. I can't remember who made this, but it's very good, and I used it for over-the-shoulder cameras. It really just sped up how long it took me to develop stuff, and it works perfectly. So I just used that. That's the only thing that's in the game that I haven't made. Next is the error system. Very simple. It just puts an error on the screen basically. Indexer. This is for searching. So you'll see this used in these scripts. I'll do this one. And again, you can see how I get the index from. This index is for searching a folder. And then this get is for searching for an item. So like searching workspace for a certain item. And this is mainly a kind of an aesthetic type thing. It makes the code look nicer. It doesn't necessarily speed it up. It's the exact same speed as it would be with just doing dot or wait for child. It just makes the code look nicer, and it feels easier, So index utility from main engine, and you can see utility inside of main engine, and then it'll index all of that stuff. It's a very simple. It's just a linear search algorithm, basically. If it was, I guess I could do something to see if it was searching workspace and there was hundreds of items. It could do a binary search. Probably would have done that if I had a chance to finish it. What's next? These are just the remotes. There's no bindables right now, but there is speak, weapons, and input. Oh, my bad. Right, what's next? Oh yeah, next server. So in the main engine here, this is just all the variables and stuff. This is the init function. This one does more. It loads more things. It loads all the tools in the game, and sets them inside of the server cache so that they can be cloned about to when people get them. So every single tool in the game will be instantiated into this folder, and then if like the game recognizes that someone's trying to pick a tool up off the floor, it'll just clone a tool from this, which will just be a model, and it'll recognize when it's being cloned basically. Clone a tool from this, put it in the player's inventory. Very simple. And there's all of this. This is just to make sure like data saves when the game closes. This is setting up a new player in the engine, which is somewhere up here. Yeah, so it just adds the player with their data table basically, and yeah, it does, and it loads the modules like the client did. Next is the tool. Now this is I loved making this actually. This was very fun to make. It's 368 lines, and it's basically just a custom tool. The way it works right now is the model is like it uses a model with all the parts for the tool in and just welds the handle of the hand, and then it uses a configuration for all the tools kind of properties. So like the tool tip and stuff, you'll see when I go in game actually. And yeah, it was very fun to make. I'll go through it all. So the tool.new, this just makes a new tool basically, and with some variables. Sets up all of this stuff. It sets up the events so you can do like tool.equipped and stuff and tool.activated. The same as a normal tool. Model.changed. That's for seeing if the parents change, so you can, see if it's a player. If it's a character, then you weld it to the character and basically equip it. If it's a backpack, then it puts it inside of the what's it called, the storage basically, so you can check your inventory for it. And if it's workspace, it drops it on the floor, which is pretty cool. It sets up the configuration folder, which basically just it's the configuration, set the properties for the tool. The pickup prompt, so you can pick it up off the ground. And then there's what's the next function is cache. Cache is just putting it in the tool cache right here. It just recaches it basically. It's not really used much. I only really use it when the tool's been dropped on the floor for too long, so I cache it again. Cloning it. This just clones a tool, creates a new one, and returns the new tool to you. It's, equip. That equips it to the character. Unequip. Unequips it from the character. Pick up. Picks it up off the ground. I didn't make that comment right. Drops it to the ground at its last position in the world. So if you were holding it and then you drop it, it'll drop out your hand. Unweld is not used widely. It's mainly just used for unequipping the tool. This just unwelds the handle of the tool from your hand. Weld just welds the handle of the tool to your hand, and obviously up here it's working out which hand it needs to weld to, and it works out which hand it's using. It goes down, just creates the simple weld with the C frame, and that's it. Obviously, it shows that even though it's unfinished, it does show that I have expertise kind of in coding. It uses a lot of different techniques, such as meta tables, searching algorithms, stuff like that. Uses all the different services in the game. It would have been a lot bigger. I had a lot of stuff planned for it. Anyways, next is the data module. Next is weapon handler. This is very basic. It just handles the weapon for the player. Like it's the player's weapon handler. So how handles which weapon the player's got equipped, so you can't equip multiple in the same hand. And then this is the sword module. This is really messy, but this is basically just checking which hand it's in and stuff like that. So you can see it. It's checking like when you activate a tool, it'll do the attack. If you block it, it'll block. If you stop holding it down, then it'll stop blocking. Stuff like that. That'll be obviously if it was finished, it'd have things like actual damage. If you attack it, it'd then make a raycast for the sword blade, and it'd check if it hits someone, and if it does hit someone, then it'd damage them. Same for like a bow. This would work the exact same with a bow. It'd just send another remote event to pull the bow back and fire it, and then it'd raycast in the direction the arrow goes, and if it hits someone, it'd damage him, all in this single function. But because this was, I haven't added damaging yet, so this is just this kind of for sure, so it's not that big right now. Next is data. As I was saying, data storage is my favorite thing to do. I love the data store service, and this is a very big kind of data table. As you can see, it supports admin stuff, but there isn't an admin system yet. This was just planning for the future. Priority levels were going to be, instead of like single roles like moderator and admin who can do different stuff, I was just going to do a priority level, and then each command has a different priority, and you need the priority to be the same as or higher to do the command basically. Obviously it's got all this stuff, very simple. Get class and create data, that's creating the data with the folders and stuff. So like it just loop through all these tables. Each table would be a folder, and then it'd create the values for the stuff inside the table. So yeah, that's the create data function. Format data, that's basically taking all your data that's been edited in game, formatting it into a table so it's ready to be saved. And then, well, you can see that it uses a lot of functions. This one is using update and async because it's overall just better for large scale games with lots of players. It means that there's less data loss. And yeah, it sets the ID, save ID and stuff. That's all I can explain about this really. It's pretty fun to make. I'm not showing your level of scripting knowledge, so I don't want to go too in depth on how it works and stuff, because you might not understand. Like this thing here, this is basically seeing if you've got a tool in your stored, then it'd create the tool and set it in your inventory, or if you've got it in your hands when you leave the game, it'd put it back in your hands. Next is time. Simple module that just does time. Like, it's the simplest way to explain it. It just makes the sun go around. These utility modules, not many of them are used besides day, night, and config. Clothing one isn't used yet. There's actually nothing in it. There should be another clothing module, but I don't know where it's gone. Whatever. Who knows where that gone? This one. Oh wait, that's because I'm in the wrong bit. Where is it? Okay, create config and day night here. Right, so create config is what I showed you in the date thing. It just creates the config for the tools. Day night is just adding the time on to the sun. This one is just what I was using to speak. And where is it? Is it this one? Or is it? Oh, it's character. This was going to be a system to save clothing and armor and stuff, and also like character values. There was going to be like 3 slots, so slot 1, 2, or 3, and each slot have different data and stuff. It works. It just I haven't fully set it up yet, so it doesn't load the clothing and stuff. And I think that's it. I don't think there's any code in these. No, there's not. This was the inventory I was working on. This was going to be an item. So the tooltip there, gibberish stuff. The base stamina to use it, the cooldown, the damage, what type of hand it is, limited tradable, and then the thing of the item and the item's name. Didn't get a chance to finish the inventory. And yeah, that's basically it. And then there's that's equip offhand and equipment in hand. But that's it. That's the entire 2000 something lines. I'll have a look now. It's the entire 2291 lines of code in the game. If this isn't enough, I've got other games that have some code to show, and I'm also happy to make something just to prove that I can actually code as well as I say I can. It's up to you really, but that's it. That's the code that I've done. So just get back to me on if you think I'm good enough for the game or not.